And welcome to The Beat, biggest stories in the game with the guys who make a living covering those stories. I'm Mark Fine. It has been an unbelievable week in sports. The NBA very much in the mix. Later in the show, we're going to talk futility for the Nets and a penalty for the tweets. But we start with the latest on Allen Iverson. Headline number one, Iverson has had a change of heart. Multiple media outlets now reporting that Allen Iverson will head back to Philadelphia instead of heading into retirement. Apparently, it's a one-year, non-guaranteed contract. Joining me now, as usual, from Silver Spring, our own David Aldridge, and from Yahoo Sports, Adrian Wojnarowski. And D.A., we'll start with you, the latest on this deal.
Well, it's just a matter of when Allen wants to accept a deal. The Sixers, if you factor in the amount of money that the league kicks in for veteran contracts, it's about $700,000 that the Sixers would have to pay out for Allen for a prorated sign for the rest of the season. And their view on it is very simple. If Allen shows if he's any problem at all, if he's at all disruptive, they can cut him. They don't owe him anything else. It's a non-guaranteed deal. So they feel about one member of their organization told me, look, this is a no-brainer. It makes all the sense in the world for us and for him. It gives Allen a chance to play. He's going to start with Lou Williams out for 2 months and gives us an opportunity to find a guy who's the best guy out there. And Allen, I think, by all accounts, is the best guard that's available in free agency right now. So it's from that standpoint, it's something that helps both sides. Obviously, we have to see what happens when Lou Williams comes back. He's out for about 2 months with a broken jaw. Right. And when he comes back, we have to see how Allen responds to that.
Adrian, your thoughts on this deal? I guess it's as good a fit as any for Allen Iverson.
Well, for Allen Iverson, this is really the perfect scenario because this is the one team, certainly unlike Memphis or Detroit in the last year, where Allen's going to wield the hammer in that town. He's more popular than the GM. He's going to be more popular than the coach there, both of whom don't really have any history in Philly. And so if things start to get dicey with Allen, he's going to be able to go directly to the public and plead his case and have much more credibility. It's very possible than the guys he may be debating an issue with. And I think that could potentially be a problem for Ed Stefanski and Eddie Jordan down the line.
Well, guys, a little bit earlier, I was lucky enough to catch up with Allen's legendary coach, John Thompson, his legendary college coach. And the first thing I asked him, with everything that's gone on, he had talked to Iverson. I asked him what his frame of mind was dealing with all of this.
Well, I think his frame of mind is fine. My biggest concern, Mark, in talking to Allen was that I didn't want to see him make a decision of this significance after all he's put into the game in his life based on frustration. And I was worried when I heard the announcement come out that Allen Iverson's going to retire. If you're going to make that kind of decision, make it for different reasons other than out of frustration. And that's what I was trying to convey to him.
Do you think in talking to you and maybe Coach Brown and other people close to him, he did kind of reconsider, and that's how we wound up where we are today?
Well, I don't know who else he talked to tell you the truth, and nor did I ask him, nor did I care, to tell you the truth. I was more concerned with the fact that, I think he has to form his own conclusions. I don't think anybody at this point of Allen's life is going to have the kind of impact that's going to have that kind of change. But I think everybody wants him to sort of hold back a little bit and take a look at it. And I think that's what he did. And under no circumstances do I think he's going to retire. And so I'm happy about that.
An interesting thing came up the other night when this broke, and Kenny Smith and Eric Snow were on our show with us on Game Time. And Kenny said that he had always wondered why Allen didn't just say, I just want to play for a winner, I'll do whatever they need. And Eric's response was he thought that Allen felt like that's almost cheating, backing your way into a championship, that wasn't who he was. Do you find that interesting at all, or do you see that in his psyche?
I heard Eric when he said that. And I thought that was an interesting thing. I have never heard Allen say that, but knowing Allen and his competitiveness, I could very easily see how he would formulate that thought process in his mind.
Right.
But, Allen is far different, I think, from what most people have a perception of him being. Most people are very reluctant to get to know Allen. They're more apt to have other people interpret him or the perception that they have of him. And that's one of the problems I see with all of this.
Well, you say he's different. How so?
Well, I think that he's the kind of person that if you go to him directly and talk to him, we live in a world now where people communicate with people through other people too much.
Right.
Allen is very honest, very direct. If you go with him and confront him and deal with him about something, where you're going to have a problem is that if it is passed on through 3 or 4 layers of communications.
Right. Agent, GM, and everything before it gets to the
Well,
coach.
exactly. And whoever coaches Allen has to be strong enough to deal with him on a man-to-man basis. Allen is much fairer than most people perceive him as being. You know, that whole crap about him not wanting to come off the bench and stuff, you know,
Right.
Who wants to come off the bench? Now, let's be real. It's not a player in the NBA who wants to come off of the bench. But that's between him and his coach. That's not something I can convince him of or anybody else can convince him of. The coach and he has to determine how much time he's going to play or not play. But, you know, it's got to be a pretty damn good team if they've got a lot of players better than Allen Iverson. I'm going to tell you that right now.
All right. That said, and talking about his role on a team, the news today obviously surrounding Philadelphia. Your thoughts on his fit there and how you see him doing?
I think it's a great fit. One of the reasons why I think it's a great fit is because very few people assess him from the standpoint of his ability to play basketball. They always deal with exterior things. The people in Philadelphia know Allen. On the coaching staff, they have Randy Ayers, they have McKee, guys that he knows. The town has accepted him already. He doesn't have to make an adjustment going to the town. You know, and what we all better remember is that we're not talking about the 20-year-old kid years ago. We're talking about a guy now who's much more mature and much different. He's being judged now a lot like the perception that people had of him before. But I'm biased, and I enjoy being biased because I think he's an extraordinary special person, and I still think he's a very, very talented player.
Well, it's great to get your insight and your angle from things, obviously, with the relationship that you've had with Allen. So appreciate you coming in, and thanks for sharing that with us.
Thank you. Who wants to guard Allen Iverson in the NBA?
Not me.
Let's not talk about his playing time. Who wants to make the list, a short list of people who want to guard him?
It will be a short list. Thanks again, Coach.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, nobody on the Nets, that's for sure. When we come back, can the Nets come back? New Jersey has a new coach. We'll discuss the futility and the future next.